You've probably heard about the gigantic deal that WWE has secured with Netflix for the exclusive rights to air Raw for the next decade. In a whopping $5 billion deal, WWE is going to be putting their weekly flagship TV show on the biggest streaming service in the world, and what looks to be a truly game-changing course for professional wrestling as a genre. To put it into perspective, $5 billion over 10 years potentially works out to $500 million a year, or 41.6 million a month, a whopping $10 million for each episode of Monday Night Raw. That is a pretty good chunk of change. It's actually a lot more than change. How did we get here? Let's get through all of it. It's Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm Kevin. How do you feel about WWE moving to Netflix? Let us know in the comments below. Tell us how you watch wrestling and what your routine for it is. Streaming audio and video has drastically changed the way we consume all media, not just pro wrestling. And to understand exactly how the streaming change has affected wrestling, we need to go back to the past of how wrestling was distributed in media to begin with. A little bit of a newsflash, pro wrestling has been a part of every big next evolution in media distribution, going all the way back well before the Hulkamania boom of the 1980s. That's right, Gen Z, pro wrestling existed before the 80s. The revolutionary DuMont Network, one of the innovators in television over-the-air broadcasting in the 1950s, was one of the first to air professional wrestling beyond a simple regional area. But back then, it was essentially pre-tape versions of live events. Ah yes, body slams and black and white. Into the 60s and 70s across North America, regional promotions had their own weekly broadcast TV shows to push fans to those same live events. It was only into the 70s and 80s when you had various promotions like WWE, World Class Championship Wrestling, utilizing television to expand on almost a near national scale. With cable TV, the way we consumed media changed once again. Broadcast channels were limited in how they could reach people over the air, but cable allowed you to have more channels, more choices, and enter pro wrestling. World Class Championship Wrestling out of Texas scored early success with the growing all-sports channel ESPN. Yes, they had wrestling on ESPN. Ted Turner's Turner Broadcasting on TBS beamed out Jim Crockett Promotions NWA, which eventually purchased the promotion to become WCW, World Championship Wrestling. But it was really WWE that took professional wrestling to another level, one that many within the industry never thought was possible until that time. Rather than just wanting to grow their audience for live events, WWE strategized even further with national TV, both on syndicated weekend slots and cable TV with the USA Network, where they aired All-American Wrestling and Primetime Wrestling on Monday nights. But their big expansion came through the Saturday night's main event, big TV specials on network broadcast TV through NBC. WWE would continue to further push in their international TV with the UK and beyond. This is when wrestling really became a spectacle. Superstars like Hulk Hogan were in the right place at the right time, the advent of WrestleMania, oh yeah, and the expansion of pay-per-view. Big-time events with big payoffs that anyone could watch almost anywhere if they had access to cable TV and closed-circuited TV events. The big wrestling boom of the 1980s is exactly what led to the larger-than-life figures of pro wrestling reaching pop culture status, and the also expansion of merchandise. More people see it, more people want to enjoy it, and enjoy it any way they can, including on-demand media like VHS rental through tapes, and WWE got ahead of that. When there was the VHS boom, WWE was there too. With the 90s, WWE continued its syndicated TV presence with the weekend show Superstars, and began their long-running flagship weekly TV show Monday Night Raw with a little bit more attitude on the USA Networks. The business would intensify and explode with the rise of WCW, owned and operated by one-time WWE broadcast partner in Turner Broadcasting, with Nitro on TNT going head-to-head with Raw on USA in a cable TV ratings war, or a Monday Night War. WWE would eventually win this war, buying out WCW in 2001 and getting its massive back catalog of content with it. More on that later. During all of this, WWE added a significant new weekly TV show in SmackDown on broadcast TV outlets. Fans were accustomed to dealing with a cable TV service or a broadcast TV channel to get their weekly TV shows and monthly pay-per-view events. As the media evolved into further expansion of digital content, so did pro wrestling. Knowing there was an on-demand fan out there that wanted all of the stuff they simply didn't want to go to a video rental store for, WWE kind of worked through the cord, didn't cut the cord, with the launch of the WWE Classics on-demand service through regional cable companies, offering around 40 hours of classic content from their now expanding tape library that included ECW, WCW, and others. Around this time, there was rumblings that WWE wanted to go even further into this, with maybe their own TV channel or direct-to-consumer service. As streaming services for movies, TV, and even music continued to populate our lives on smartphones and web-connected devices, WWE continued to advance themselves as well, with high-definition video and adapting to even more free content portals like YouTube, where they dominate, where you're watching this video right now. The real seismic shift for WWE came when they took their premium content offerings that would normally be shared through a partnership with a pay-per-view provider or a DVD company and beam it directly to the fan. The obvious term for this within the media industry was over the top, and the coverage of what WWE would do was over the top with the launch of the WWE Network. The bet to go directly to the fan was a massive undertaking, not a minor risk. Some speculated in the lead-up to the 2014 announcement, just months before WrestleMania 30, that we would get maybe some of the pay-per-view events. Not all of them, and maybe we would get some of the on-demand catalog. But no, you were getting it all. You were getting all of the pay-per-views, including WrestleMania, all the big ones, and a massive on-demand library for, repeat it with me because they really drilled it into your head, $9.99. In retrospect, WWE as a company with a wealth of content and intellectual property understood how to get ahead of the curve. Netflix was there, but this was before HBO Max became Max, before Disney became Disney Plus. Disney Plus, for example, took a good chunk of content they previously licensed to Netflix in order to attract more of their own subscribers. Heck, even WWE had a handful of different things on Netflix at one point. Netflix, the largest streaming service in the world, was always reluctant to get into the live and sports entertainment game for fear that it wasn't profitable, choosing to make docuseries and focus on pre-filmed on-demand content like the hit shows Formula One's Drive to Survive and true crime documentaries like Making a Murderer. Disney Plus, for example, took a good chunk of content they previously licensed to Netflix in order to attract more of their own subscribers. The tone seemed to change in the past few years when Amazon Prime, Apple TV Plus, Warner Bros. Discovery, and other companies that had their own streaming services were starting to venture into live sports programming. According to Needham & Company senior analyst Laura Martin, streaming is recreating the cable bundle, which is basically featuring things like sports, news, entertainment, etc. So how do you bring that in? You bring in the thing that was always the core of cable TV, professional wrestling. Still, WWE had challenges with the distribution of the WWE Network, taking on all of the expenses to distribute it direct to the consumer while still having to market it through their broadcast deals and maintain their subscriber count. Outside of the WWE, there's been some major benefits to streaming overall for the entire pro wrestling genre. Ring of Honor expanded their reach with the Honor Club. New Japan Pro Wrestling, one of the biggest promotions in the world, followed the trend, launching NJPW World that has successfully streamed major events, including their annual Wrestle Kingdom cards from the Tokyo Dome. Even smaller promotions have realized that streaming is the best way to get eyeballs on their product, and some examples include Independent Wrestling TV, Stardom World, Wrestle Universe, Nico Video, and Triller TV, formerly known as Fight. So how does this all play into professional wrestling at the next level? There seems to be a change a lot in the streaming industry outside of WWE, with the likes of Amazon Prime, Apple TV+, Warner Bros. Discovery's Max platform, and many others offering expanded libraries that WWE might figure into in a different way. According to Needham & Company senior analyst Laura Martin, streaming is recreating the cable bundle that we were used to before as consumers, which is set to feature things like sports, news, and entertainment. You have to check some of those boxes to serve many audiences, and enter WWE. WWE was still taking on those expenses all by themselves with their own network. Maybe looking for a partner outside of that could expand their audience and help them reach fans who simply didn't want to pay for just WWE. In 2021, WWE rolled the dice once again. After securing big money deals for their weekly television shows, they looked to take the WWE Network to the next level and enter longtime media partner NBC Universal and their new digital streaming service, Peacock. This meant WWE was not going to have to pay for the back-end streaming technology themselves, and simply could do it with a partner. It would also pair the WWE brand with major movies, popular TV shows, and other sports leagues streaming on NBC's Peacock app. When WWE had the WWE Network as a standalone service, it reached around a reported 1.3 to over 2 million direct subscribers. Obviously a lot more with each individual subscriber streaming it at home. But on Peacock, WWE was going to reach a lot more people. Market Realist reported in 2022 that at the first quarter of the year, Peacock reached 28 million subscribers, a much bigger net to catch a fish. After scoring billion-dollar deals for the rights to Raw on NBC Universal's USA Network and SmackDown on Fox, WWE's over-the-top streaming rights, the move of WWE Network to Peacock, would be a very lucrative one. WWE scored a 5-year, $1 billion deal for all of the premium live events and the back catalog on Peacock. The WWE Network library and those premium live events will stay on Peacock until 2026. It's hard not to argue that WWE launching the network on their own was smart, but maybe it's even smarter for them to adapt to the times and partner with another service, get it to a better price, and a fixed rate in terms of their rights. It's also shown in the era of streaming subscriber services that WWE is a hard-to-deny valuable asset, one that fans who have WWE on Peacock aren't going to drop Peacock and just let the service go because they know they're going to get their big pay-per-view premium live events every single month. It fights the churn burn. Although ESPN doesn't have the media rights to WWE content at the moment, even their president of content, Burke Magnus, said that there's a big overlap between WWE fans and their sports viewers, which is why they've been so interested over the years. Sports Pro Media put it perfectly. The big difference between pro wrestling and conventional sports is the fact that wrestling has a fiercely loyal audience. This is the exact reason why they've survived numerous network and channel changes and why media giants like Netflix are now willing to pay billions for their content. From WWE's perspective, they've historically been a company that wanted to grow younger. Pivoting to streaming was yet another strategic move to capture eyeballs of a generation coming up that has almost completely ditched the idea of traditional cable television. And the fact that Raw is going to be on Netflix every single week, reportedly with limited advertisements depending on what type of subscription you're getting from Netflix, it's a good way to be a game changer for that next generation of fans. It's going to force WWE to innovate the way it does its programming. We're most likely going to see the evolution of wrestling television with its mammoth $5 billion Netflix deal. What could this involve? How would this change the way WWE airs the show every week? Will we get matches with no commercial interruption? Some commercial interruption? How will this change WWE? Thankfully for them, they're in a perfect position to make the transition. With the remnants of the old management of WWE simply bowing over in the last couple of years, there's a team in place that seems to be more ready than ever to revolutionize wrestling once more. Whether it's going to be revolutionary on the same scale as the wrestling boom of the 80s, or the big breakout of the WWE Network, it's not clear if it's going to be the same. It's going to be something very different that has a real change to how you, the fan, consumes wrestling. It's a huge win for TKO in the long run. And well, after the media storm that WWE's dealt with and negative stories, this is still something you can say is a positive. Within just a few months of the TKO merger within WWE, they've managed to secure a ballpark figure of $6 billion worth of broadcast deals. That's not a small amount of money. With experts at the board like Nick Khan, Endeavor is having expertise in their media rights, ticket sales, event operations, global partnerships, and more. And it looks like things are going to be looking up for the foreseeable future, at least within the business world of WWE. What do you think of the way that WWE is moving with Netflix? Let us know in the comments below.